In a world still healing from the scars of ancient wars, peace never lingers long. From the scorched deserts of Marquet to the proud cities of Tal'Dorei, power stirs in the forgotten corners of Exandria. And in the deepest reaches of fire and madness, a red dragon dreams of conquest. This is the story of the Chroma Conclave, a terrifying alliance of chromatic dragons forged in ambition, fear, and flame. It is a tale of destruction and defiance, of heroes rising from the ashes, armed not only with magic and steel, but with unbreakable resolve. From the fall of Emon to the final breath of the Cinder King, journey now into one of the most harrowing chapters of Vox Machina's legend. Before the skies of Tal'Dorei ever darkened with fire and ruin, a name echoed in fearful whispers across the southern continent of Marquet: Thordak, the Cinder King. In an age long past, this ancient red dragon carved a path of devastation through the scalding sands, his reign marked by molten fury and endless conquest. His presence blotted out the sun, his ambition igniting wars that reshaped borders. But no treasure hoard nor smoldering city could satisfy his hunger for dominion. That hunger drove him to Ankaharel, the great jewel of the desert. There, his campaign faltered. Standing in his way was Jamon Sa'ord, a sovereign of immense arcane power and unshakable will. The battle between them cracked the sky and scorched the earth. Though Thordak's wrath could turn stone to slag, he was driven back, wounded and defeated, a humiliation that festered like an ember buried beneath ash. He vanished across the Lucidian Ocean, but his legend endured. When he returned, it was to Tal'Dorei, and the threat he posed had grown. No longer a conqueror merely, but a monstrous force corrupted by something darker. A circle of archmages and divine warriors came together to confront him. Among them, Allura Visoran and Lady Kima of Vord. Their combined might was not enough to destroy him, but it was enough to cast him out. Using ancient and potent magic, they bound Thordak within the elemental plane of fire. The rift was sealed, and the Fire Ashari were charged with keeping it that way. Time passed, but the prison, like all things, began to fracture. And within, Thordak changed. The crucible of the fire plane did not contain him, it transformed him. Deep within the churning chaos of flame, he encountered a shard of unknown origin, a crystal pulsing with primordial energy. Drawn to its power, he buried it into his own chest. Its magic twisted him, flooding his form with raw elemental force. His body grew unstable, vast and bloated with molten energy. His mind, once calculating and cruel, cracked beneath the pressure. From the forge of his exile, a new Thordak emerged, mad, burning, and boundless. Though caged, his thoughts pierced the veils between realms. He reached out to others like him, creatures of power and malice, each driven by their own dark desires. First came Raishan, the diseased deceiver, cloaked in venom and secrets, seeking a cure to her wasting illness. Then Umbrasil, the hope devourer, ever greedy for arcane relics and forbidden strength. Vorugal, the frigid doom, answered next, his heart frozen by the thrill of conquest. And last, Brimscythe, the iron storm, who had already embedded himself within the very heart of Emon's leadership, hiding in plain sight under the guise of General Krieg. Together, these five formed an alliance once thought impossible, a conclave of chromatic dragons. Proud, vicious, and solitary by nature, dragons seldom joined forces. Yet Thordak's apocalyptic vision united them. Through fear, promise, and shared hatred for the fragile empires of mortals, the Chroma Conclave was born. The seal upon the elemental plane cracked. The barrier failed. And as the veil between worlds collapsed, Tal'Dorei's fate was sealed in fire. Morning broke clear over the cloud-top district, casting the spires of Emon in golden light. Citizens from across the city gathered with hushed anticipation, drawn by the summons of Sovereign Uriel Tal'Dorei II. The sovereign stood before his people, composed and resolute, as he delivered a declaration that would shape the realm. He would abdicate his position, entrusting the future of Tal'Dorei to the council. It was a moment of historic gravity, a transition of power meant to preserve unity and balance in uncertain times. But fate had other designs. As Uriel spoke his final words, the sky blackened. The sun was blotted out by enormous leathery wings, and an unearthly roar shattered the stillness. 4 titanic shapes tore through the clouds. Raishan, shrouded in virulent green mist, Umbrasil, whose wings dripped with corrosive shadow, Vorugal, encased in glacial frost, and above them all, the infernal crown of the storm, Thordak, the Cinder King. The dragons fell upon the city like wrath given form. Fire and acid rained down, stone cracked under claws, and screams filled the air. The heart of Tal'Dorei's civilization, its monuments, homes, and hope, was consumed in chaos. Sovereign Uriel was among the first to fall, engulfed by Raishan's poisonous breath in the very moment he sought to usher in peace. With his death, the old order ended in flame. Amid the carnage, Vox Machina acted swiftly. Though caught off guard by the sudden assault, they did not hesitate. Weaving through falling rubble and panicked crowds, the adventurers gathered their allies, secured what survivors they could, and fled toward Greyskull Keep. In the smoking ruins of Gilmore's glorious goods, they found their friend and arcane supplier, Sean Gilmore, wounded but alive. With what strength he had left, Gilmore aided their escape through teleportation, casting them across the continent to the only refuge that remained, Whitestone. Once a city drowned in darkness, Whitestone had been freed by Vox Machina months earlier. Now it stood as a lone beacon of resistance. There, amid the cold stone and flickering lantern light, the reality of the catastrophe sank in. The Chroma Conclave had not struck in greed or madness. It was conquest, deliberate and coordinated. The capital was only the beginning. Guided by Keeper Yenin, Vox Machina turned their eyes to Vasselheim, the oldest bastion of civilization and home to ancient religious orders. Kaleth, attuned to the ley lines of the world, summoned her druidic power to open a portal. And so began the next leg of their journey, not to reclaim what was lost, but to find the power they would need to survive what was coming. The dragons ruled now, but the fight had only begun. The fires of Emon still smoldered in memory when Vox Machina set foot in Vasselheim. Known as the oldest bastion of civilization in the known world, the city stood as a monolithic relic of a bygone age, untouched by the dragon's wrath. But what it had in wisdom, it lacked in sympathy. The temples and orders of Vasselheim, long isolated and wary of outside affairs, offered little aid to a band of adventurers carrying tales of ruin. The city's guardians would not march on Tal'Dorei, not yet. The defenders of faith demanded more than words, they required action. Amid cold marble halls and ancient scriptures, Vox Machina found guidance not from armies, but from relics of legend. Keeper Yenin, a spiritual leader and ally from Whitestone, spoke of the vestiges of divergence, powerful magical artifacts born in the crucible of the calamity, an era when gods themselves walked the world, forged to slay titans and command the very weave of magic. These relics had been scattered, hidden and lost across Exandria. Few remembered their names, fewer still dared seek them, but against the might of the Chroma Conclave, nothing less would do. And so, the hunt began. Each vestige promised not only immense power, but a trial worthy of its legacy. Some lay in tombs protected by curses, others were jealously guarded by ancient beasts, mad spirits, or cults twisted by time. Vox Machina traveled from sunken ruins to cloud-shrouded peaks, through the tangled canopies of jungles and deep into the shattered remnants of forgotten empires. Along the way, they fought not only monsters, but doubt, grief, and the ever-growing weight of their quest. Vexalia, sharp-eyed and calculating, found her path entwined with Fenthras, a longbow once wielded by an elven champion during the calamity. The longbow now rested in the corrupted Shadowmurk, surrounded by twisted fae and choking vines. Claiming it was no small task, but when the forest finally surrendered its weapon, a current of primal power surged through her, a gift from an age that remembered gods. Scanlan Shorthalt, ever the cynic in a world of wonder, took up the burden of Mythcarver, a blade of song and soul. Hidden deep within the sanctum of an old rival bard, the sword's magic responded to truth spoken in defiance of fear. It was a weapon that echoed with the tales of its wielder, And Scanlan's story was far from over. Percival de Rollo, haunted by the legacy of the Briarwoods, sought the Cabal's ruin, a cloak woven from shadows and stitched with whispers. In retrieving it, he embraced the duality of invention and vengeance, adding darkness to his arsenal of light. Others followed. Vax'ildan stepped into the shadows of destiny, drawn to Deathwalker's ward, a set of armor touched by the Raven Queen herself. Keyleth chased visions and trials in the elemental planes, her power blossoming with each passage through fire, wind, and stone. Even Grog, ever simple in speech and pure in heart, proved worthy of the Titanstone knuckles, relics that fed on the resolve of their bearer rather than brute strength alone. These were not mere tools. The vestiges changed those who claimed them. Each relic deepened the character of its wielder, reflecting not only strength, but purpose. They were burdens as much as blessings. As the pieces of the puzzle came together, so too did the larger truth. The Chroma Conclave was not idle. Even as Vox Machina raced to prepare, the dragons tightened their grip on the world. Vorogel terrorized the icy reaches near Draconia. Umbrasyl plundered ancient vaults for relics of his own. And somewhere in the dark, Raishan watched and waited. The time for gathering was ending. War loomed on the horizon, and the first confrontation would not be with Thordak. It would begin with the Hope Devourer. The air over the Alabaster Sierras was thick with tension. Umbrasyl, the black dragon known as the Hope Devourer, had established his lair within these treacherous mountains, amassing a horde of stolen artifacts and spreading fear across the region. His presence was a blight, and Vox Machina knew that confronting him was both a necessity and a perilous endeavor. Vox Machina's journey to this confrontation was fraught with challenges. They had gathered several vestiges of divergence, powerful artifacts from the Age of Arcanum, each enhancing their abilities and preparing them for the battles ahead. The confrontation with Umbrasyl was inevitable. Utilizing their combined skills and the power of the vestiges, Vox Machina devised a plan to lure the dragon into a trap. The battle was intense, with Umbrasyl's corrosive breath and immense strength testing the limits of the group's endurance. However, through strategic coordination and the enhanced capabilities granted by the vestiges, they managed to weaken the dragon. In a decisive moment, Scanlan, wielding Mythcarver, delivered a critical blow that felled Umbrasyl, marking a significant victory against the Chroma Conclave. This triumph was not just a physical victory, but a symbolic one, demonstrating that the Conclave could be challenged and defeated. It bolstered the morale of Vox Machina and their allies, setting the stage for the subsequent confrontations with the remaining dragons of the Conclave. The ruins of Draconia lay silent under a blanket of snow, a once proud city reduced to frozen rubble by the wrath of Vorogel, the frigid doom. This ancient white dragon, a member of the Chroma Conclave, had claimed the shattered city as his lair, his icy breath ensuring that life could not return to the devastated landscape. Vox Machina, having already faced and defeated Umbrasyl, turned their attention to Vorogel. Recognizing the threat he posed and the strategic importance of Draconia, they devised a plan to confront and eliminate the dragon. Their journey took them across treacherous terrain, battling the elements and remnants of Vorogel's destructive path. Upon reaching Draconia, the group discovered that Vorogel had been using the city as a base to launch attacks on surrounding regions. The dragon's presence had also attracted other dangerous creatures, turning the area into a perilous zone. Vox Machina navigated these challenges, gathering intelligence and preparing for the impending battle. In a bold move, they summoned Yenk, a Goristro demon, hoping to pit the two formidable creatures against each other. The ensuing battle between Vorogel and Yenk was fierce, with both beasts unleashing their full might. Vox Machina seized this opportunity to strike, coordinating their attacks to exploit the chaos. As the battle reached its climax, Vex'ahlia delivered a precise shot to Vorogel's heart, while Keyleth used her magic to entangle and crush the dragon's heart, ensuring his demise. With Vorogel defeated, the group had eliminated another member of the Chroma Conclave, bringing them closer to ending the dragon's reign of terror. The city of Emon lay in ruins, its once proud spires reduced to smoldering rubble under the tyrannical reign of Thordak, the Cinder King. The ancient red dragon, swollen with elemental fire and madness, had transformed the capital into a crucible of destruction. His fiery dominion threatened to engulf all of Tal'Dorei, leaving only ash in its wake. Vox Machina, having vanquished Umbrasil and Vorogel, turned their gaze toward the heart of the inferno. Alliances were forged anew. The Fire Ashari, the elven city of Singorn, and stalwart allies like Allura Visoran and Lady Kima rallied to their cause. Even Raishan, the diseased deceiver, proposed an uneasy truce, offering her aid against their mutual adversary. The assault on Emon was a symphony of chaos. As the coalition forces engaged Thordak's elemental minions, Vox Machina infiltrated the city through its sewers, navigating the treacherous underbelly to reach the dragon's lair. There, amidst the molten ruins, they confronted the Cinder King. The battle was cataclysmic. Thordak's fiery breath scorched the earth, his colossal form wreaking havoc with every movement. Pike, drawing upon her divine connection, absorbed Thordak's inferno, redirecting it to shatter the elemental crystal embedded in his chest, a source of his augmented power. Seizing the moment, Vax'ildan, guided by the whispers of the Raven Queen, ascended into the sky. With a swift, decisive strike, he plunged his blade into Thordak's heart, bringing the tyrant's reign to an end. The Cinder King fell, his body crashing into the ruins of the city he had decimated. In the aftermath, as the dust settled, Raishan revealed her true intentions. Having aided in Thordak's defeat, she claimed his corpse, seeking a cure for her own affliction. Her betrayal underscored the fragile nature of their alliance and hinted at the challenges yet to come. In the aftermath of Thordak's defeat, Vox Machina found themselves grappling with the consequences of their uneasy alliance with Raishan, the green dragon known as the diseased deceiver. Though she had aided them against the Cinder King, her true intentions remained shrouded in mystery. Raishan had absconded with Thordak's corpse, seeking a cure for the wasting disease that plagued her. Determined to confront her, Vox Machina embarked on a quest to locate Raishan. Kaleth, drawing upon her druidic powers and the guidance of the Earth Ashari, performed a perilous ritual to trace the dragon's whereabouts. The ritual led them to an ancient ziggurat, a place steeped in arcane energy and dark history. Within the ziggurat, they discovered Raishan amidst a ritual, attempting to transfer her consciousness into Thordak's corpse to escape her affliction. A fierce battle ensued, with Vox Machina confronting not only Raishan, but also the remnants of her twisted experiments. Despite her formidable power and cunning, the combined might and resolve of Vox Machina proved overwhelming. In a climactic moment, Kaleth channeled the very disease that had tormented Raishan, turning it against her and bringing an end to the diseased deceiver. With Raishan's demise, the shadow of the Chroma Conclave was finally lifted. Vox Machina had triumphed over the ancient dragons that had threatened to plunge the world into chaos. Yet as they stood amidst the ruins, they knew that their journey was far from over. New challenges awaited, and the bonds forged in battle would be tested in the days to come. The skies over Tal'Dorei were finally clear. The Chroma Conclave had been vanquished, their reign of terror brought to an end by the unwavering resolve of Vox Machina. Yet, as the dust settled, the realm faced the daunting task of rebuilding from the ashes of devastation. In Emon, the heart of the Tal'Dorei Empire, the scars of battle were evident. The city's once majestic spires lay in ruins, and its people grappled with the loss of their sovereign, Uriel Tal'Dorei II. In the wake of his death, the Tal'Dorei Council assumed leadership, steering the nation towards a new era of governance. Recognizing the need for a more representative system, the empire transitioned into a republic, aiming to prevent the concentration of power that had made it vulnerable to the Conclave's assault. Draconia, once a beacon of dragonborn civilization, had been decimated by Voroghal's icy wrath. In its place, the Ravenites, formerly oppressed by the Drakenblood elite, seized the opportunity to rise. They established Zarzith Kitril, a new settlement symbolizing their emancipation and the dawn of a more equitable society. For Vox Machina, the end of the Conclave marked both a victory and a turning point. Each member grappled with personal transformations wrought by their journey. Vax'ildan, having embraced his role as the Raven Queen's champion, carried the weight of his divine pact. Vex'alia, now the bearer of Fenthras, found herself more attuned to the natural world. Percival, haunted by the ghosts of his past, sought solace in innovation and governance. Scanlan, whose wit had often masked deeper insecurities, began to confront his vulnerabilities. Grog, ever the stalwart warrior, reflected on the bonds of kinship and loyalty. Keyleth, nearing the completion of her Aramente, stood on the cusp of leadership among the Ashari. Their adventures had not only saved the realm, but also forged unbreakable bonds among them. Yet, the world of Exandria remained fraught with perils. Whispers of darker forces loomed on the horizon, hinting at challenges that would test their unity and resolve anew. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Critical Role's rich lore, don't forget to like and subscribe for more cinematic stories from Exandria and beyond. And stay tuned. Next, we delve into the rise of the Whispered One himself, Vecna's ascension. The darkest chapter is yet to come,